The other day I was at a convenience store and walked around the corner and ran smack dab into my old drug dealer.
Oh.
Oh yeah, and he's like looking at me, like had this weird look on his face, and I'm laughing because I know he doesn't know who I am. He's like, do I know you? I'm like, you used to know me. I'm Christina. Nice to meet you. I'm 3.5 years clean. He's like, no way. I remember you. And I ended up giving him a meeting pamphlet with meetings. I said, you can change your life too. Just go to these meetings.
Was he receptive?
He took it. I was impressed. And then I heard him telling his buddy that he was with, I'm so proud of her. And I got in the car and I'm sitting there. That's another thing. I'm like, he didn't even know who I was. So God has changed me on the inside and the outside, to where he didn't recognize me. That was really refreshing to know that he didn't even know who I was.
Hello, Sunken Press people. I am very, very excited about this episode. And as you may have noticed, Corey is not in this chair. I am in this chair. I am a little nervous, just so you know, but I hope to do him proud because this is something that I am really excited about. And that is Christina Foster.
Hi.
She is from Foster's Light in the Dark. So Christina, can you tell me a little bit about Foster's Light in the Dark mission?
Our mission is to be a light of hope, and that the darkness that comes from overdose and suicide brings. Our mission is to also have a memorial park in Madison County for victims of suicide and drug overdose, so their families can honor them and not be forgotten.
I love that. So how long ago did you start this?
2023. The backstory on it is when I was 18, my brother Timmy was 20. He was surrounded by the cops one night and he took his own life. I was devastated. I went on to become a drug addict like 8 years later because I was married, had kids, and then when that fell apart, I became a drug addict.
So it wasn't immediate? It wasn't after your brother?
No, I felt that loss. But having kids, I guess, kind of, helped with that a little bit. But then when I no longer was in that marriage and didn't have my kids, that's when I became an addict. I was a functioning addict for years. Like I would work and then just drink and do drugs on the weekends. And then eventually, my kids grew up and moved out. I ended up becoming a full-blown drug addict.
May I ask what your drug of choice was?
Anything you had.
Okay.
Relatable,
actually. But yes, okay.
At the end, but it started out, alcohol is my gateway drug because then you get the liquid courage to do whatever. I started out doing cocaine, then it went to crack, then it went to pills, then it went to meth, and anything you had.
Anything. Just anything to numb. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, so then I was homeless, living on the streets, and my best friend in 2017, she died of a drug overdose. And I had survivor's guilt, so I didn't go to her funeral because I didn't want it to be real, just more reason to put more drugs in my body. And then I was really trying to kill myself with drugs. And in 2020, December 8th, 2020, my second brother sent his wife to Applebee's, stepped out on the back steps, and took his own life.
Yeah. Both of your brothers?
My oldest brother, the first one was 20.
Okay.
This brother was 55. And then I was mad at God. I was like, I'm physically trying to kill myself, and he gets to die and I don't, because that was the mental illness, more survivor's guilt, more all about me kind of thing. My son was an adult, and he came and got me to make sure I went to Uncle Jimmy's funeral. And on the way home, he pulled into a cemetery and he shut the truck off and he said, Mom, I need to know what kind of funeral you want, and I need to know where you want to be buried. If I have to bury you, I need to know. And that was devastating for me. I started crying. I'm probably going to cry now. But that was the turning point. That was the point that I knew my kids were going to watch me die. I didn't get clean off drugs right away. A couple months later, one of my friends was going to California. I wanted to get out of here I went with him. We got pulled over. We stopped in Mountain, Nevada, and got pulled over by the cops, and they ran my name, and I had a fugitive warrant out of Madison County. So I sat 19 days in Battle Mountain Jail, which saved my life.
Oh, yeah, because it kind of forced you to go through the withdrawals.
Yes.
And
That was
can
the
I ask you
first
how
time.
that was when you were in jail? Like,
Yeah,
were they accommodating? Yeah.
I want to know the conditions
Yes.
of Battle Mountain Jail.
It was beautiful. It was weird but beautiful. But at the time, I'm like, oh, I'm locked up abroad. That's what I'm thinking, because
The
that was my
foreign
addict
shores of
mind,
Nevada.
I didn't know anybody, But now there was a Sarge there. She was a female that ran everything, and she was so nice to me. She, they let me be in solitary confinement with a jug, a pitcher of some kind of Kool-Aid stuff and it did help, and they let me detox. And
So they
then-
were sensitive to that? They medically, they did everything that they were supposed to.
and then I kept flipping out, hyperventilating, so they would take me to their doctor. But it's weird because I didn't have a judge. I had a justice of the peace, because that's how out there, in the country, and it's in a desert.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the desert. You're in alien country at that point.
And so
It's a beautiful place to get
it was
pulled over,
because
though.
they would walk you across from the jail to their courthouse or whatever it was. And I was in Shekels, but the mountains were so beautiful. I could not be freaking mad.
There's worse places to get
this
sober.
is beautiful, And
Aw.
so yeah, when I came back, I got to ride the Amtrak back through the Colorado mountains, and it was so beautiful, so beautiful. I get home and turn myself in, and Madison County never had a warrant for me. That the charge that I had gotten dropped to a misdemeanor. So it was really God saving my life. So after that, I didn't get clean off drugs, but I promised God, I said, if you get me into rehab, I won't look back, because I already had a taste of that clean time that I knew I'd be okay. I got into rehab a couple weeks later.
Did you go to one around here?
I went to Carbondale.
Okay.
It's called Her Story, but they also, from the trauma that I had dealt with in my past, it's kind of they deal with that too.
So they don't just get you sober, they give you therapy.
Yes.
And
And they let you have coping skills and stuff that's happened in your past.
that should be across the
How
board.
hard was it to get into
Yeah,
that?
I chose Her Story because, I had a story. I don't know. That's how I got in. But it's more intense, sitting down and you telling your story, and then them helping you have coping skills for when you leave, you'll have, what's your triggers and all this. So it really helped me. And when I got out, well, first of all, when I was going to leave, I was like, crap, I'm homeless. I'm going to be back on the streets. This isn't going to take. So I tried to get into all these sober livings in Florida. God kept slamming doors. I got into an Oxford house, 10 miles from Ground Zero for me, because Alton and the Wood River and the Roxana and all that area is Ground Zero, where I could get the drugs, and, had been doing it for over 20 years. So I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Granite City. I didn't party there, but, I hear it's not good. Anyway, I get into the Oxford house, didn't know what to expect. I got to meet the girls in the house, and they were like, we're going to a meeting tonight. Well, we went to my first meeting, and I was really like,
So
wow.
that was your first ever meeting.
Ever.
You never had stepped to.
Never even knew that recovery existed. And I was like, wow, I fit in. These people are like me, and they're living a life without drugs, because I was raised by an alcoholic mom, and all I knew was the violence and the drinking and the drugs and all that.
Relatable.
Yeah. And so I started going to meetings, but I remember the next day when I woke up, sitting on the edge of the bed going, I don't trust myself to make any decisions. I had to relearn everything. I didn't know what really happiness was. I'm like, oh, that's what happipiness feels like. Because I numbed my feelings for so long. And I don't think any time in my whole life I had been truly happy. So then, I got to work on myself. Well, I would go out to my brother, Jimmy, the second one that died. He was also a Navy veteran, but they had made him a bench out at the Belt Park, and I'd go out there and I'd write and sit there. And I was like, wow, this would be cool to start a memorial park, because when I was on the streets, not a lot of people that I used with that would die of an overdose had any money. And, then like they get cremated or something happens to them and there's not a place for their family to go. So I got this idea to start a nonprofit. And then I got a job at Site One, 62 days out of rehab. And within 6 months, I had enough in my 401k to take a loan out to open the nonprofit.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yes.
Great.
So we were trying to come up with the name. And then on Thanksgiving of 2022, I got a phone call that my third brother, Richard, had taken his own life.
Oh my God.
Yes. Then my perception had changed. I didn't want to die anymore. I wanted to live. So I got to go to the funeral and be a really good, strong person for my family for the first time in all them years,
Were you nervous that you might relapse because of the trigger of him passing?
At the time, when I found out, I was mad. I was mad because how can you do this, especially on Thanksgiving? We've been through this twice, my family, and I was mad. But then working steps through recovery, I'm realizing that I could have been the best sister in the world. They suffered from a mental illness, and anything that they did had nothing to do with me. That is a huge thing. So coming home from the funeral, Foster's Light in the Dark popped into my head, and I got goosebumps when I said it out loud. And 2 months later, in January 17th, we got it incorporated with the state of Illinois. The very first event was up here that we had ever had in 2023 was there was a drug overdose awareness up here at the park. I forget where it's at, by the mayor's house. What is that park?
Killian Park at Salu? Yeah.
Yeah, they had, that's when I met Sacred Spaces of Care, and I got to meet Chief Ford and everything. And I was like, there ain't a lot of people here. And I guess they didn't advertise it a lot. I went to Rockin' for Recovery, got to set up our tables. But then last year, I was like, are we having because it's International Drug Overdose Awareness Day on the 31st, are we having an event? And I heard they wasn't. So we had gotten 13 recovery entities and resources there, and we memorialized over 100 people. We had 200 years of clean time show up and leave the community with the hope shot that we do recover.
That's amazing. So can you tell me a little more about the people that you partner with, the resources?
So last year, we're going to have way more this year. It's so awesome. Last year, it was kind of a just, let's do this.
Last minute kind of thing.
It was planned, but I had never, I didn't even know what a nonprofit was, and I'm learning all this. So we had
and there's a lot of red tape and things you have to do and paperwork.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
Board
I'm
of
learning.
directors.
Yes.
I'm learning. I have a really good board. A lot of them sit on so they know about nonprofits. But Amare partnered with us. Sacred Spaces of Care. Megan, she really stepped up last year. We had both CRs. We had NA. We had Oxford House. We had Chestnut showed up. We had Drug Court show up. Yeah, we had all these really cool entities.
For your first event, that's a lot of support.
And we
resources.
memorialized over 100 people. So I went from gluing pictures that I'd taken off our Facebook page to a board to right before that event, we had a chicken dinner and we raised enough money to get a website up with an actual memorial wall.
Oh.
Yes. And it happened on the anniversary of my brother's death. The web designer, the web company that we used is so amazing. So amazing. They read, what we're about, and they really got behind us and was like, we're going to help you.
Who are they?
It is Mid-America Web Solutions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Good
out of
to know.
Belleville.
And do you have a plan to make a physical memorial? I mean, I know you're doing the memorial park, but the wall on the website, what would a memorial wall look like in physicality?
We're going to have the park, and so next year I am going. My board, please.
Of course.
We are going to start raising money for the land, having fundraisers. I want to have a battle of the bands for land. We want to approach SIUE. Maybe they could lease us some land as long as the nonprofit's up. But once we get the land, I want to have like one side drug overdose and one side suicide.
Do you have a ideal location? Like, if you can do anywhere around here, where would you love to have it?
Anywhere around here, it would either be on 111. I think 111, like in between South Roxana and Granite City, is a good place. Or even on Pogue Road going towards Edwardsville. Anywhere out there where there's a lot of land where we can expand if we had to. I hope we don't, but if we had to. But yeah, and then because I work for SiteOne Landscape Supply, and we supply landscaping companies, they have never sponsored a nonprofit, and this September they're going to sponsor my nonprofit for the whole month, and we get to go raise awareness for suicide, and all their employees will like buy our event shirt, wear it, and wear suicide.
This is our
drug overdose.
Okay, that's one of your new ones.
So the suicide awareness shirt.
It's 2 weeks after. It's after our first candlelight. But yeah, so like now this year we have sponsors that are sponsors. Madison County Mental Health Board. Like,
and you also go to other events and set up tables and booths,
yes.
You said. Can you name some that you've done recently?
We've done Rockin' for Recovery. We do that every year up at the Bethalto Central Park. I love them. We've done Out of the Darkness Suicide Walk in Roxana. Right off the top of my head. We did Centerstone. They had like a little drug overdose thing. We did that. It's really cool.
You are an amazing woman. I tell you that.
Thank you.
It's really hard to turn pain into something beautiful, but you have managed to do that beautifully.
Thank you. To be honest, when my first brother died, the look on my mom's face, I guess subconsciously I'm trying to like get that look off people's face because she was lost. Like when somebody dies by suicide, it's a ripple effect. It's like, what could I have done if I would have just did this? We run over their conversations, the last conversations in our mind. We blame ourselves because I've worked a recovery program. I'll tell you, on step 9, which is make amends, I got to go to my first brother, Timmy, out in New Douglas Cemetery and read a letter. I got to say, I'm sorry that I wasn't there for my family the way I should have. I'm sorry I didn't memorialize you in the way that I should have. I'm sorry for all this. But at the end of it, I promise I will memorialize you better, your memory. And then I was like, this left my lips. It wasn't even written down. I said, I no longer want to die because you died. I want to live. And the minute that I said that, I realized the whole entire time since I was 18 and he died, I was subconsciously trying to kill myself. And it was so freeing. And I'm like,
you were punishing yourself.
Yeah. And that was when it was really hit me like a ton of bricks that we could help people not carry that. And, just try to be a light in their darkness, Well,
and that physical space is important to have that,
Yeah, and on the 25th anniversary of his death, I was drinking, driving, and texting and hit the flatbed of a security truck head on a dead-end street. Yeah, and my liver was lacerated and my spleen ruptured, and I was life-flighted to the SLU hospital. And they took 30% of my liver. I had a full blood transfusion. I was in surgery for 5 hours. I almost died. They had 30 minutes to save me, and they did. But then a week later, I got staph infection and barely survived again.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes. And I realized after getting clean that this was a suicide attempt. I was trying to share my brother's death date.
Even if you weren't aware, like subconsciously, that's something that would totally make sense.
We get to look back and see this stuff, My family's been through enough. They didn't need me to share my brother's death date. But through that's been the greatest thing is in recovery, we get to go back and physically make physical amends to our live a life that our family, wanted for us all along. and my brother, I have a brother and half brother from my dad. He was like, thank you for getting clean and not making us think that you were next. And that was a lot.
Oh.
Because, I mean, I was the one, they were probably going, don't know about her.
I mean, especially after you like hit a truck and lose 30%.
No, at this point, I'm thinking you're a cat, though. Like, you got some life.
Yeah, you're very.
It's God. He was like, no, not today. But, and then I remember being at the end of my addiction, like, why am I alive? What is my purpose? And people don't realize when you get clean, you're on fire. Like you want to help everybody. And now I look back and it blows my mind that I guess I'm walking in my purpose, And
I can totally see that. You have a glow about you when you talk about this, and your passion for it is evident. It definitely is.
Really cool to see that. So what things are you doing currently to help mitigate like overdoses and suicide deaths in the community?
So we joined the Madison County Mental Health Alliance.
Cool.
So we get to hear all, with the 911. When somebody calls 911 and they're suffering a mental health crisis, as long as their safety's not, involved and they're okay, they will transfer them to 988. This is in place now. A lot of people don't know. So they'll transfer them to somebody that can talk to them, a professional.
Right.
That way, when they holding up the cops, they're talking to somebody. But if their safety's involved, and then if you're sitting with somebody that's suffering a mental health crisis, there's chestnut numbers that's on our website that you can call, and then they can help you mitigate. But this is amazing. This is stuff that we need to get out there. And we're going to have Eli Horner. He's on the Madison County Mental Health Board. He's going to speak. That's another thing. We have speakers like the Madison County Coroner is speaking at both of our events. Alton Police Chief Ford is speaking at our overdose. And then we have Pastor Bud. Bud Vickery, he's from Granite City Celebrate Recovery, but he's a pastor at the R Church, Restoration Church in Granite City. That's where I got baptized. He's going to talk. He's got a powerful story of when he was an addict. He was an addict, and he's like 10 plus years clean. But like he's got a powerful story. He's going to tell his story. We're also going to have a dove release. Williams Family White Dove is released.
I saw that. That was really cool.
Yes, and they're going to be at both of them, and they're donating their time. It is amazing. And
it's a good cause to donate to.
Yeah. And our suicide one is September 13th, suicide awareness. And we're going to have Madison County Coroner. We're going to have Eli. We're going to have Dave Glover from KMOX.
Okay.
He's going to come and speak. His brother died by suicide. And we're going to have a dove release. And
so I love how often you say that, they're not just how they died or their addiction. So can you, I guess, memorialize for us right now a little, who were your brothers as people? I want to know. I want to know who they were.
I know, and I get caught up in
no.
Brother number 1, 2, and 3.
No, I get it. It's a lot of information. I'm that way about my childhood too, because when you have that much history and trauma, it's
right.
You
gotta categorize. You gotta be like, oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Timothy Ray Foster was my first brother. He was my best friend. He was 20, I was 18. He's the one that taught me how to snap my fingers, how to climb a tree, how to ride a bike. He was my protector. He was so funny. Like, I look back and I think he used humor a lot, as a way of coping, because he was the clown, and even when my mom was going to whip him, he was like out there cutting a hickory, making jokes, and, because he was the kid that was always in trouble, So yeah, I just wished he would have been able to meet my kids, It
probably would have been the best uncle.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, he would have gotten him in trouble for all him.
Isn't that the best uncle?
No, it would have been all in good. He would have protected him. Yeah, it's sad because I didn't know what death was until he died.
It was your first major death in your family.
Well, my dad died when I was 4, and I was raised by an alcoholic mom. She turned to alcohol and Xanax. The whole time I thought she was telling us they were her nerve pills, but later on in life I found out they were Xanax.
Yeah.
But
Which is a nerve pill, but if you abuse it, it's the opposite.
Yeah, alcohol and Xanax is never a good
drink,
mix.
right.
No.
And that's why she was probably violent. I don't know, but
It'll do that.
But she was real angry. Now that I'm older and I've worked on myself, I see the empathy for her. You know, she was doing the best she could.
Is she still?
She's dead.
Okay.
She died in 2012, I believe. But you know, I have empathy for her now and realize that she was doing the best she could. She's a human. She was going through it too. Then my brother James Hunter Foster, he served in the military. He was a proud veteran of the Navy. He served on a nuclear sub.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's just amazing. He was a father. He had a grandson. He had 2 daughters and a grandson, and you know, he worked at Olin. That one was hard for my family too, because it was like 32 years after Timmy, you know, but now that I, you know, am in recovery, I can see, you know, how the what if, you know, he was away in the Navy, maybe if he would have been here, you know, stuff that he probably was thinking, you know, because he was the big brother or the protector. And then Richard, the one that died on Thanksgiving, he was older. He was my mom. All my mom's sons are dead by suicide.
Oh, is it genetic or?
I think it ran on my mom's side like a mental illness. I do
Yeah.
believe that, but I think that guys statistically suffer from depression, and if anybody was out of a woman or a man was going to kill themselves, it would be a man. You know what I mean?
Because they go by guns a lot. Because a lot of times women tend to try to kill themselves. Like statistics do show that attempts are going to be more successful.
All 3 of
because
my
they
brothers
tend to
died
go
by
through
gunshots.
guns.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then Richard, he was a father and he was a grandpa. But the fact that, you know, I can release that and realize that I could have been the best sister in the world and they would have died anyway, you know?
It's not on you.
Yeah.
Men, they tend to not seek help because they don't want to be as vulnerable or,
Yeah.
no.
And times are changing.
Oh yeah.
Thank God.
I go to therapy all the time.
Yeah.
I just got a Zoloft prescription for anxiety and depression.
Exactly.
Like I take mental health extremely seriously, but I also used to be suicidal. Like it was something I've been suicidal. I've been to that brink, and I'm like really glad I'm not there now. And like depression will sometimes make you be like, you should have died 20 years ago.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, God, that's dark.
Right.
But yeah, so like I completely understand suicidal ideation, but I also like am free to talk about it with therapists and support networks, and like it's really cool. Like I've had a lot of adverse childhood experiences as yeah, so it kind of like it builds your brain in a way that trauma kind of prevents you from seeing a solution.
Yes.
And I did not fall into drug addiction. I just sort of fell into, I don't know, just generalized, I'm working too hard as a reporter. I wish I was dead. Maybe if I torture myself with enough dead kid stories and tragedies, then I'll make up for all the horrible things that I must have done to feel like this. And, you know, at the end of the day, I didn't do that many horrible things to feel like that.
Right.
Like, you got to let it go.
And none of them were addicts.
That's what I was about to ask. Did they also struggle with substances?
Yeah. My brother drank when he was, you know, in the Navy and around his buddies, but he didn't drink all the time, you know?
Oh, Stella just popped down, and it looks like it's time for our first break. It is time for our first break. Whenever we come back, Nicole, what are we going to talk about?
We are going to talk. We're going to talk about more stuff.
We're going to talk about more stuff. We're going to talk about events. We're going to talk about the Memorial Park.
We're going to. I want to, if you don't mind, delve a little bit more into your time getting sober in the jail, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And also your experiences with
Dun, dun, dun.
Nah. I know what I'm saying. Okay. your experiences when you were homeless as an addict.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
get into the nitty gritty whenever
Yes.
we
The
return.
nitty gritty. Like
I
that was more of
get
like
why you love
summation.
these.
I know, I do love these.
All right, it's time for the break.
Okay.
Yep. Hell yeah.
I do want to take a moment though to thank Jamie Donaldson, who is our newest newsroom agitator subscriber to our Patreon. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you so much. And more people should do that. Be like Jamie. Be cool. Okay. Back to Christina. Hello. We are back from our break, and we are still with Christina Foster from Foster's Light in the Dark. So I want to go back a little bit and talk about your time when you were homeless and some of your experiences. Did you ever have moments where you had run-ins with law enforcement? Besides getting pulled over in Nevada.
Yeah. I did get arrested for possession, and that ultimately is what led to me getting arrested in Nevada. So, but I didn't I don't know if I was a dumb addict or whatever, or a smart addict, but I didn't really get in a lot of
So
trouble.
you're pretty lucky there.
Yeah,
what was
I
the
was.
possession charge for?
Meth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to go back to your experiences when you were in jail there, when you were getting the withdrawal process. And I know I touched on a little bit, but as far as the medical care, so did they evaluate you for symptoms? Because going through withdrawals, I mean, people can die from withdrawals.
Yeah. They didn't like I said, it was way out in the middle of nowhere. I did go see the doctor when I had anxiety and was having a huge anxiety attack because I had court the next day. This would always, play out. And they did give me some Ativan to sleep or something. But then I did it again and they were like, yeah, she's playing us. So I went the second time back to the doctor and they didn't give me anything. But I was grateful because they knew I was an addict trying to seek.
Well, see, a lot of times though, in the hospital, when you're in a detox setting, they will give you things like that, obviously monitored though, just because, like I said, it's dangerous sometimes. So that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Do you think that it could have been a better experience? I mean, I know you said that Sarge was compassionate, but do you think...
At the time, because of course I was uncomfortable and I did, couldn't get dope, and I was in the cell all by myself, and I was away from anybody. I couldn't make phone calls. They isolated me, but they did watch me. They did take care of me.
You think they would have taken your concerns seriously if you did have a medical emergency?
Yes. They were really. I don't know what kind of situations that they deal with, but I do know that there was a girl that was locked up in there, and she found. I guess everybody knows everybody. They found out she was pregnant and she was on heroin, and they locked her up so the baby will live.
What?
Yes,
they had her locked up.
That's kind of
Yeah, that's a little
morally a little
but
weird.
She had
The intentions,
some,
though.
Yeah, she had some charges.
Okay.
I don't know what her charges was.
Okay.
But they would take her to her doctor's visits, and they were making sure that the baby was going to live, basically. But they were taking her outside to her doctors. They were, I guess, trying to get her far enough along to where she could have the baby and be away from the substance to maybe she would choose not to use. So I thought that was cool.
That is. As somebody, though, so my mother was a heroin addict, and she used when she was pregnant with me and my brother. And so that's the only thing about that particular thing. I'm just kind of I don't know how I feel about locking somebody up just so they don't use. I mean, I probably would be a lot better at math if she hadn't been heroin to be honest with you. And maybe my sense of direction. I did read this thing that people that are born addicted to drugs have no sense of direction, and I am super bad, super bad. I need my G maps for everything. So I just don't know how I feel about that. But I understand the intention was
and it was a small town feel. It was they were good people, It was really cool because then I was coming back to myself, I was happy, and all these feelings that I hadn't felt in all these years, and this is actually comical. So when I came back, my sister took me and dropped me back off out at my well, he was my drug dealer's house, but it was out in some property, and we lived in campers. So I go back out there, and this is funny. Now that I am away from it and I look back, I went out there and I'm like, I'm 21 days clean, and these people were mad at me. And I'm like, and they're like, but now I look back at it and I'm like, they were mad because they wanted that. I wasn't going, I was happy. I was like proud of myself that was the first time I had been clean that long, and they weren't like happy with me, of course, because, in a drug house going, oh, I'm clean. Yeah,
I mean,
smoke this and you won't be, so yeah.
I can see both sides. Also, that's risky as in recovery to go back after only that few of days.
Well, in jail, I wasn't working a program. I was just, the only abstinence from the drug was because I was locked up and had no choice, So yeah, but that was when my mind, God showed me that I could be clean for the first time in years. And that's when I was like, wow, I will survive. You know what I mean? And that gave me a glimpse of that to where I could get clean.
I know we were mentioning it outside. We were on our little break, but religion. So your faith in God has really helped you. Can you tell us a little more about that? And how you found your higher power and what that means to you in your recovery.
So when I was a kid, I was raised by an alcoholic mom. And so for some reason, she would like go back to our old town that was 30 miles away and drink with them people. But we would have to go with her. And yeah. And then
sounds like a dangerous drive home.
Yes.
I think Kimmy's stories are relatable.
Yeah, no, my mom would do the exact same thing though.
So
like,
we
I
would lay
understand.
in the back of the bed of the truck, and we would pray that we would make it home. And I remember like falling asleep, but if I felt her hit the gravel, I knew what that sounded like, and I'd wake up. So that was just one scenario. Our house was always a party. So like they'd be out drinking all night, and then we have to get up and go to school, and I'm in the other room, and when people are drinking, they're loud.
Yeah.
And I would constantly have the pillow over my head trying to go to sleep. She would make us go with her boyfriend Ronnie to all these people's houses in the middle of the night. He had to been on something.
Oh my God, these sound like my childhood stories with my mom.
Yes, and then
Was this in South Roxana?
Yeah. On Stevenson Street.
Did you know a woman named Kimmy
What's her last name?
Sellers Davenport?
I do.
Oh my God, that was my mom.
No way.
She recently died, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, you knew Kimmy?
Yeah, like we were the Fosters. We lived like right down on Stevenson Street.
She was on Ohio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. I'm sorry.
fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, these all sound like Kimmy's
Yes.
stories. I'm like, oh, you knew Kimmy.
Yeah.
She was a wild lady.
I was a kid though, probably back then. You know what I mean? How old was your mom?
She died at age 61 about 2 years ago.
So she was my older brother and sister.
around that age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And our house was at the party, so she was probably at our house because my mom was a truck driver at first. So she was gone, but then she became a cook on the riverboat. So she was gone for months at a time.
Oh.
And yeah.
So it was like the party house in South Roxana.
Boy.
Kimmy probably
Yeah.
went to those house parties.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so like, anyways, going through all that with my mom, I knew something was bigger than us. I knew it was keeping us alive. And then, just growing up, always, watching people get stabbed and shot in our house. Yeah. It was violent,
house? At first I thought you meant like in that environment, but
No.
just in your house shop?
Yeah, because people get drunk and they get mean and
Yeah, that kind of shit happens.
yeah. And witnessing all this growing up, I did a lot of praying because, like I just always knew there was something bigger than me. And then even when I was in active addiction, I was cursing God, but when I got clean, when I told him, I said, you get me into rehab and I won't look back. And he did. That solidified it. But you got to remember when we're in active addiction, we anybody that we encounter, wants something from us. Yeah. And I remember, like, this just flashed in my head not too long ago, that when we were in active addiction, we were getting each other high, and we felt like, oh, that's my friend, but we were just surviving because we didn't want our buddy to feel like crap. And I realized that we were like at rock bottom, just trying to survive this. But if you have an extra 20, I'm going to steal that from you, is how it was. So, we would misplace things and think that somebody robbed us. And then we would find it and be like, oh, you know what I mean? That's just the paranoia that sets in from using drugs and being in that environment. So, yeah, I knew there was something bigger. And then when I got into rehab, I was like, I wasn't one that was in and out of rehab. I just didn't have any resources. I didn't know how to get help. And nobody, I felt like nobody cared. But when I got clean, then I was like, okay, now, and then I had to learn to trust my higher power, God. And if I kept doing the next right thing, I kept getting blessed. It took me an active addiction. I tried to go get my driver's license renewed because it expired 11 times. But what it was is I didn't have an address. I was homeless. What address am I going to use,
Yep.
So I couldn't get it renewed. So when I got clean and in an Oxford house, I had a steady home, so then I could go and I got my driver's license, just that little stuff. My family, seeing me for the first holiday and their face lighting up because Christina's back, stuff like that, grew my trust in God, and then when my third brother died, just seeing how the recovery family came around me and was like, let's go to a meeting, and because this is a big deal, this can set somebody into a relapse and never come back. Because I don't have a relapse in me. If I go back out, I'm dying, and that was my thing. But, having that love and that compassion and people really not wanting anything from me and loving me and wanting me to do good has built my trust with my higher power.
I love that.
Yeah. And it doesn't, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I believe that religion is by men. They will corrupt it. So my God is bigger than that. And like, I didn't even know what a nonprofit was, and so he really put a passion into me to help others.
And it sounds like you put people in your life to that like-minded individuals. Actually, I was going to ask you, do you know anybody that used to hang out back in the day with that they're sober?
Well, the people that I use with, I've seen them come in and then I've seen them go back out, but the other day I was at a convenience store and walked around the corner and ran smack dab into my old drug dealer.
Oh
yeah. And he's like looking at me, like had this weird look on his face. And I'm laughing because I know he doesn't know who I am. He's like, do I know you? I'm like, you used to know me. I'm Christina. Nice to meet you. I'm 3.5 years clean. He's like, no way. I remember you. And I ended up giving him a meeting pamphlet with meetings. I said, you can change your life too. Just go to these meetings.
Was he receptive?
He took it. I was impressed. And then I heard him telling his buddy that he's with, I'm so proud of her. And I got in the car and I'm sitting there. That's another thing. I'm like, he didn't even know who I was. So God has changed me on the inside and the outside, to where he didn't recognize me. That was really refreshing to know that he didn't even know who I was.
Do you ever, because I often feel like this just based on my past of mental health struggles and addiction struggles, have you ever felt in the past like you want to be known for more? Like you're afraid sometimes that that's all you'll ever be known to somebody as that?
As an addict?
Yeah.
When I was in active addiction, like I said, I was cussing God. I'm like, why was I even born to go through all this? Why do you hate me and all this? But now that I'm on the other side and we get to work steps, we not only, we look at our past, but we also realize the part we played in things.
The accountability is there.
Yeah. Like, even though some of the stuff that happened to us wasn't our fault, how can, we realize patterns have been created. Like I realized that procrastination is because my mom was a cook on the riverboat and we cleaned the house like an hour before she was coming home. So I'm good on a deadline. You know what I mean? So like I'm picking up these things because we're a product of our upbringing and our surroundings. So growing up, all this stuff was attached to me. And
it was familiar. It was familiar.
Yeah, like assumption, I was in an abusive marriage for 8 years, so I think that I can scan anybody and know how they feel, and I'm thinking I'm an empath, but no, that's a trauma.
Hypervigilance.
Hypervigilance. That's my favorite trauma response.
Yes, and you're like, are they happy? Are they mad? Because how I got to react a certain way,
You got to think 3 steps ahead.
That's why I love what you said earlier about you gain the ability to trust yourself when you became sober. Because I think for a lot of addicts that is very hard, or a lot of people with mental health issues, because sometimes we don't know like what's real and what not. What is it, a trauma response from our childhood?
Yeah.
Because we're feeling it in our bodies, but it might not even be a threat. Or it might be a threat and we're just going head first.
Right.
Like, I like that.
Because we're trying to get ahead of it.
Yes.
Because then we ain't going to hurt that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your body remembers trauma more than your mind
Definitely.
does. So like
Definitely.
you don't even know why you're freaking out sometimes. Like I will have hypomanic just like flips in the middle of April, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Right.
My mom died October 23rd. Every October, I always, and there are some times where I am so busy, I will forget sometimes. And I feel horrible saying that. I'll forget that it's like October 23rd.
Right.
And then I'll be realizing that no wonder I felt like such a, like a,
I do that.
You know what I mean?
And I do that. And what it is our body never forgets that time in our life when our life stood still. And just like the amazing thing though is when I got into the Oxford House, I did get baptized on my first brother that died's his birthday.
Oh, I love that. So you're making a bad day something
God
positive.
He's turning it. And my family got to come together for the first time since I was clean and celebrate me.
Well, that's awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. And then August 15th of 2023, I gave my testimony for the first time. And so that was replacing a death date. And then the August 15th, 2024 is when our website went live. So, it's being turned around, all these bad things to good things.
That is amazing. This is a personal question, so I understand if you might not want to answer it, but I would love to hear it just because I myself have had substance use while my kids have been born, and they've seen that struggle.
Yeah.
So how has your relationship with your kids improved after, that day that you said your son took you to the cemetery?
Yes.
How has that improved? Have you made amends in that relationship?
Yes. I have with him. My other two live out of state, and I haven't yet to go visit with them. I had wanted to be around my granddaughter, and he was like, no, he cut that relationship. And I'm grateful that he did that because she never got to see me in that state, and now I get to go and spend nights with her, and I get to find out how she's doing.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and my kids, my son that lives in Tennessee, he sends me videos of his kid. When she was having the baby, her dad had followed me on Facebook and knew that I had changed before I even talked to my son. And so when she had the baby by my son, he sent me newborn pictures.
And that's something that you wouldn't have gotten if you had.
And then he told him, he said, look, your mom has changed her life. Well, the other day on August 15th, my son sent me a text and said, Mom, I want you to know that you're helping a lot of people and changing lives. How can we not be proud of you? Keep being you, Mom.
That must have felt so good to hear.
And well deserved.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to keep being a living amends. So
I like that, living amends. I've never heard of that.
So I know I wasn't a great mom to them, but maybe now that they're an adult, I can,
My mom did that for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
She used to love cocaine and getting drunk.
Yeah.
And, she still liked getting drunk up till about the day she died. But she she did make amends for a lot of the things she did. And it was a really good feeling to just be like, hey, my mom is a person. And I got a lot of empathy for her. I like all our beef was squashed before she died. It was
That
great.
is
It was a
awesome.
beautiful thing. Just like I know what it's like to be a child of like parents who are addicts, and my dad didn't change, but my mom did. And it was really just this beautiful moment where I got to not only like see my mom as she was and who she really was, but also like develop this empathy for the person that she used to be. Like there was a lot of damage done, but there was still love there. She still loved me, even though she was going out to Florida doing cocaine with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Like, she was a wild lady.
I think it is like when kids grow up and they realize, man, life is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't excuse the crap. Like I know personally, I know I've put my kids through so much, especially when my son was younger, and he's just now in that forgiveness stage and realizing life is hard. But with my mom passing away, I forgave her by doing heroin. I know that sounds fucked up. But I swear to God, because it was one of those things where it's like, it's the only time I ever did it. It was a really good feeling.
But you got to put yourself in her shoes
I got
feel
to
that.
see, like, okay, no wonder when you were already hurting and when you bring substances in it, it is so hard. And that's why I'm so proud of you, Christina, for overcoming
you.
that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's
But
incredible.
I did want to bring up something because, I'm wearing my Porch Light Collective harm reduction short for this event. So I love every program that gets you sober, right? But what is your opinion, I guess, on harm reduction? Do you think that has a place in recovery? Because my opinion is that I don't think that everyone is going to get completely sober. But I think that if we implement
I'm trying
practices.
what harm reduction is. I'm sorry.
So like Porch Light Collective, they give out Narcan for free, safe needle exchanges, things like that. It's pretty much a philosophy that if you are using less and using safer methods to use, it is still better than not implementing those safety measures. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like somebody who is drinking and using cocaine every day.
Yeah.
Somebody stops using cocaine, but is still drinking every day. The harm reduction method, it's still working. Like
I
you're
get what
still
you're
doing
saying.
something better for your body. Being mindful of that. Do you think that programs like that do help addicts?
Yeah, I think the Narcan saves lives, straight up. I think I don't really know about, I believe with the clean needles, that will help with hepatitis and stuff. But I kind of think that might be enabling the addict. But I've never really thought about it. I would rather them like not die, but at the same time not enable them. I don't know, but the Narcan 100%. I think there should be dispensaries everywhere
And they
for
have
that.
one at the police station.
Yep.
They do. And I think we even at our events they hand out free Narcan, and they of course, because it saves lives. Okay, me and my daughter had witnessed, even though I was an active addiction, I was a functioning addict. We had went over across the river and a guy had fell out of a van, and I'm naive thinking that this guy's having a heat stroke. And the paramedics come and he had a bulge in his thing, and I'm like, he's got something in his sock. Well, the paramedics automatically knew it was a freaking OD. Shot him with Narcan. He wakes up and he starts cussing. Yep. Well, what it is it sends them into direct full-blown withdrawal. But it's not, they're mad. They're mad because they wanted to die. To be honest, they wanted to die. And they're mad because you killed their buzz and they're alive. I've thought a lot about this. And I think until they deal with what is they don't want to deal with and they're using drugs for, it's sad, because, they say that if they hit them too much with somebody with Narcan, an hour or two later, they can OD on that. Or not on Narcan, but when the Narcan wears off, they can still OD on the drug.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
The Narcan saves them for so long, but then when the Narcan wears off, they still have all them drugs in their system and they can still die.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, metabolizing. I think it would depend on the opioid,
how
but
much,
metabolizing
the weight,
and
and a lot
it
of
would.
the
factors.
vehicle was delivered. But yeah, it is time for our second break.
Okay.
I have been clocking it. I'm probably gonna take off at this one because I have somebody coming over at 7.
I understand. It's fine. We're just
Totally
going to
cool.
finish up with talking about coming to the event on the
Perfect,
31st and the
perfect.
13th.
Yes.
All right, we'll do that after the break. We'll be right back.
Remember, like, subscribe, follow, share. If you have any extra money, which I know a lot of us don't, but you probably do. I feel like you do. So I need you to pay us so we can get better. Corey's so much better at this than I am. I'm trying my best here.
You're doing great.
Anyway, and we are back from our second break. Corey has left the room because he had some secret reporting stuff to do. So it's just me and Christina left. We're going to wrap up with some finishing talking about upcoming events. I know the one on the 31st. Can you tell us what times?
It's International Drug Overdose Awareness Day, and we're going to have it at Russell Commons Park from 4 to 8, right next to the Alton Bridge off Discovery Parkway. And then on September 13th, at same park, Russell Commons Park, we're from 4 to 8, we're going to have a suicide awareness candlelight vigil. That'll be our first year for that. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have music. We're going to have somebody from out of town because they played Stairway to Heaven at my first brother's funeral, acoustic. So I'm having somebody come play
More of like
it.
celebrating the life of the people. Also, do you have any advice for somebody who is in active addiction right now? In the recovery, or even like new into the recovery, because like 3 years is nothing to.
It's a Just for Today program, though. If you're struggling and you want help, there are resources out there. Come to our event and you will find resources. We're going to have a detox there, New Vision. We're going to have information for Illinois Recovery Center, but we're going to have a Mare and we're going to have Sacred Spaces of Care, and they will walk you through it. If you're homeless, they will help you find a place to, rehab to go to. And then when you come out, they will help you find housing. Oxford House Saved My Life. They're going to be there too. Just, there's so many resources. Come to our event. If you're seeking help or you know somebody that needs help, just come to our events and you can see that there are people that are living a life drug-free.
And obviously glowing and excelling in their life. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Any last thoughts or anything?
Just, we're very blessed for our sponsors, the Madison County Mental Health Board, Amare, Gateway Regional Medical Center, Integrity Landscape, and Bigfoot Landscape. We're very grateful for them because we wouldn't have these shirts, cool shirts that you should come out and buy.
You guys need to, I'll be at the event on the 31st. I know I can't make the one on the 13th, but I will definitely be at the one on the 31st. And I'm really excited because Christina allowed my mom to be on the list, and I'm really happy. So I'm going to
light a
light a
candle
candle for
and
her.
release a dove for her. You can go to our website at www.fosterslightinthedark.org, and we have a memorial wall, and you can learn more about us if you want to volunteer or if you want to donate or anything. And then facebook.com/fosterslightinthedark. This month we are posting pictures of somebody that we have lost up to our event, but we're also posting about the people in recovery because we want to leave that hope shop that we do recover.
Also, I want you to show the camera your coin just because I think that you should be proud of that.
Here you go. Thank you.
And it's just so trippy that Corey's mom. He
That
loves
is.
telling stories
But
about
I don't
Kimmy.
really, I
And
know
we
her
love
name,
Kimmy. No, but but it's
that's
like
cool.
a full circle thing.
Yeah,
And
it is. It is.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on here, Christina. You are amazing.
Thank you for having me.